Hello and welcome to another episode of Taking Control of Cancer, the podcast brought to you by the North East London Cancer Alliance. I'm Steve Bland, and this is a podcast that tries to provide both patients and healthcare professionals with tangible things that they and you can do to help when it comes to cancer. And actually this episode really couldn't be more along those lines, because we're talking about nutrition, how to eat well for a healthier life, how we use food to help reduce cancer risk and improve our quality of life. I'm joined by Femi Odewale, the Managing Director of the North East London Cancer Alliance. Hello, Femi.
Hello, Steve.
I'm also joined by Neetu Pasricha, who is a Public Health Associate Nutritionist. Hello, Neetu.
Hello, Steve.
And I'm joined by Amanda Henry, who, Amanda, you've had blood cancer, haven't you? Experience of blood cancer. And we'll talk to you about your experience of nutrition and how that's all kind of worked for you. Neetu, first of all, just give us a bit of an overview, because I think, nutrition and eating well, we'll come on to a bit of myth busting later, because I feel like there are a lot of myths in this area. But just give us a bit of an overview, very broad brush, how important is what we eat in terms of, first of all, getting or not getting cancer, or decreasing risks, but also when we have cancer, how we respond to treatment after cancer, how well we kind of get our lives back on track again. How important is nutrition in all of that?
Nutrition and diet is very, very important. It's one of the biggest modifiable factors. So this is the factor we can definitely try and modify in, of course, preventing the risk for disease, treatment, during treatment, and of course later on as well, as we are slowly trying to get on with our normal health and well-being. Overall, the dietary pattern depends more than any single food. So any single food we can't pinpoint and say, okay, this is the risk for cancer, or it can help us reduce the risk. So overall dietary pattern including whole grains such as oats, wholemeal pasta, whole wheat bread, lots of beans and lentils. There are lots of research highlighting now plant-based foods, healthy fats, polymonounsaturated fats, dairy products or dairy alternatives, proteins, which are lean protein. So there is strong evidence regarding risk of cancer increasing with ultra-processed foods or red meat, but lean proteins are good. So diet is definitely very strongly related to cancer.
This is just how I feel. I feel like it's more of a minefield possibly than ever. And a minefield maybe in quite a good way, because there's more choice than ever. It's more accessible to us to get lots of the different things you were talking about. The whole foods, the grains, all the different alternatives to dairy, and there's a million different things we can choose from now. Whereas back in the day, I say back in the day, 30, 35 years ago when I was a child, it probably wasn't like that. But then the knowledge probably wasn't there. So it's probably a good thing, but it is more difficult now, I guess, to navigate that.
100% agree on that. So we are kind of living in a storm where we have not much access to food. So 1 in 9 families in the UK are living in poverty, so they can't access healthy food. On the other side, we have so much ultra-processed foods we have access to. And so it's really difficult to make a nutrition or diet decision, And also on top of that, cost of living, of healthy food is really, really high.
And that's a big challenge, Femi, isn't it? When we're talking about the health inequalities that we often do talk about on this podcast. A big one, is this idea of there's a bit of a myth, I guess, in terms of eating healthy doesn't actually cost as much as people think. But a lot of convenience foods that maybe people who aren't sort of educated on nutrition maybe choose to put in their mouths thinking they're saving money. It's a real difficult area for people to navigate.
It's like what you were saying the last one of our podcasts, where you mentioned actually the lifestyle that we're living now, where you can just literally, you've got to grab food on the go. Yes. So you're eating more fast foods, you're eating crap really, a lot more of these kind of quick foods really. So and they're not necessarily great for you. But then also at the same time, we've had discussions about just the cost of, if you're buying organic food, and everyone's always running towards organic food, and that could be quite costly as well. So there are myths, and I'm sure you're going to talk us through some of this, but there are also actually people don't really think too much about nutrition. I think people are just getting on with their everyday.
Yeah.
For sure.
And Amanda, what's your experience? And have you, during your kind of treatment and your journey with cancer, have you felt like you've been educated well in people telling you, what are the right things to eat, what are the right things not to eat? Do you feel like, I feel like there's some pressure on cancer patients sometimes from some certain charities that say you must not eat this, you must not eat this. How have you kind of approached nutrition?
Well, I'm not a nutritionist, but as soon as I knew I had cancer, I knew that I need to alkalize the body. So that meant no sugar. I turned vegan overnight, and I gave my body the best chance and environment to fight cancer cells. So straight away, I just made a change, and that's hard. Even now when I do talks, a lot of people struggle with the discipline that you have to have in order, if you want to turn things around really quickly, you have to discipline yourself. So my routine was no microwaving, vegan smoothies, green smoothies, and I inputted a lot of herbs, my traditional Caribbean herbs, which helped me.
What kind of herbs?
Sea moss, moringa seeds, what else did I do? Soursop, special combinations of herbs that fought off the cancer cells, which miraculously I was stage 4, and within 2.5 months I was stage 0. So I know that those decisions that I made really early on helped me to be where I am now.
It's a tricky one, Nita, isn't it? Because I feel like when my first wife Rachel was going through her treatment, there was the wife of somebody famous, and I won't name them, the wife of somebody famous who had breast cancer, who came out in the newspapers saying, I've been eating this and I've been eating that and it's cured my cancer. And actually, when you read a bit further down, she'd had this really amazing treatment as well, and that probably had as much of an impact as what she ate. And is there, I don't want to say too much emphasis put on what we eat, but there can be, this is, I guess, go back to the pressure that's on cancer patients, isn't it? Because treatments are still really important. There's loads of other lifestyle factors that are also important.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes, definitely. It's not just what we eat, for sure. And like you very rightly said, Amanda, there's a lot of confusion, lots of mixed information out there nowadays especially. So it's really hard to decide what's good for cancer prevention or during treatment, what's not. And the person is already going through so many changes because of the treatment itself, so many side effects. And that kind of put more pressure. So alongside, while they are still trying to enjoy what they're eating, there's pressure, what's good, what's not, what's going to improve or prevent. So definitely a lot of confusion out there. And that's why, hence, it's very important that we share credible information and signpost people where they can find evidence-based credible information, especially in this world of social media. Of course, there's no limit. There's so much information there.
My Instagram is full of, guys and, all sorts of people who claim to be nutritionists now, who claim to be giving us all these healthy recipes and these really quick, convenient recipes to make. And it's really difficult, isn't it, to sort of navigate all of this. But I guess, Amanda, like when you've, Rachel, my first wife, was of this opinion, sometimes even if something might not work, you just want to give yourself the best chance, don't you? So you literally chuck everything at it. Yeah. And if a few things work and help them, then great, but you just want to give yourself the best chance.
Certainly, and I want to add to what you said. So I did chemo as well. So when I found out that I had stage 4, my children was like, Mum, I know you want to do the herbal route, but do everything. It's stage 4. I was literally dying. I was 6 stone 11, couldn't hardly walk. It took 16 weeks to diagnose me. So I straight away, when I found that I had cancer, the following week I started chemo. But what I did is I tripled up on the herbs with the treatment, and that kept the chemo in check. So all the things that were supposed to happen to me didn't. So I did lose my hair, but I just got my barber to come and chop it off because it was just getting thin, and it grew back as normal. I didn't lose the weight that they said I was going to lose more weight, and I was 6 stone 11 by that time. And I just kept putting on weight each week, and they was like, what's going on? And I had a very intensive chemo treatment. So there's a balance there. I mean, we all got to make a decision for ourselves.
Yeah.
What worked for me may not work for somebody else,
Yeah.
but it just felt right. And my mindset was that I never told myself I was a cancer patient.
Yeah.
I said I had a disease, and I'm easing myself back. So it started in the mind. My mindset helped my recovery, but I was disciplined, very, very disciplined.
And it's the name of the podcast, Femi, Taking Control of Cancer. This is, there are lots of ways in a cancer experience, and from diagnosis to wherever cancer takes you, where you're out of control, aren't you? You don't have a lot of control, but this is one area where you can really have some control at least.
Yeah, and it's like you said, all factors. There's so many things out there that's confusing. So you just got to give yourself the best chance, and it is that area that you've got complete and utter control over. What do you take in? And that's such an important key thing that you just mentioned, that you went through, and you can't, you can stop the chemo, but you went through chemo, but you also decided to actually do some additional eating right, or eating clean, or eating better. So yeah, I think there's a lot there around taking control, and I think, like you said, Steve, this is what this is the aim of this, is to really take control. And I think that's a key message there. And it's great to hear Amanda's story as to how she took control of that side of things, which also facilitated in whichever way. But it's, again, going back to what you mentioned earlier, I mean, we spoke just before you switched the on button. We spoke about some of the myths, and I made a comment, and it was like, whoa, we don't have the science, we don't have that scientifically. It's not backed up, and that's the thing as well with social media. You're getting everything, but sometimes it's about just identifying, herbs or things that are scientifically backed to do something, and then just working with that as well. It's a fight.
Go on then, Femi. What was that myth that you incorrectly thought was true?
It was sugar,
Yeah.
and there are many things around that. But I think, sugar is good for you, sugar is bad for you. It's all sorts of stuff. But it's about its association with cancer, and it was the statement that even I made, and we're in this space 24/7, and it was that point, which is actually, we don't have enough evidence.
Yeah.
So we've got to be mindful in terms of what we're saying. So I think there's also an extra message in this, and I'm sure we're going to touch on it, which is research, whatever it is,
absolutely.
that you're
and this is the thing though, if you go back, my lifetime, I'm 45, you could probably list every food, and at some point it's been bad and good, and in between.
Exactly. Yes.
At one point burnt toast caused cancer, I can remember. White bread's been good, it's been bad, it's been terrible, it's been good, everything in between, and that's the tricky thing, and that's why I guess it is so important, as you said, Neetu, to look at the properly researched resources and places and talk to the right people.
And strong evidence.
Yeah.
I mean, like you mentioned earlier on, due to social media platforms, people don't get to check their qualification or whether they're registered, whether they're in touch with evidence base or not. It's just messages passed on and repeatedly passed on. So any human brain is going to start believing into that, because that's everybody's talking about. So it's easy to believe these messages.
Yeah.
And of course, nobody is able to access credible information. So evidence-based, nobody has access to that. And like you very well mentioned earlier on, life is so busy, their perceived limitation of time, energy, and so many more factors, that people are just choosing quick fixes, quick food. And there's so many foods labeled as good, bad, superfoods as well. So, superfoods. Yes.
Well, I saw this thing the other day about, this is going a bit away from cancer, but I saw this thing the other day about protein bars, and there's a lot of things labelled as a protein bar in a supermarket, and we probably think they're kind of, broadly speaking, quite healthy, but there was a massive discrepancy in actually what was in all of these, the same food in inverted commas that were labeled protein bars. There were so many different. Some were quite healthy. Some were just full of sugar and terrible things. And it's just this is the minefield. This is the minefield, isn't it? It's so confusing, Amanda. And if you're thinking in your head, this is literally life or death stuff. How do I make these decisions? Like, where have you gone to for your advice?
Luckily, I've got quite a few vegan friends, so straight away, being surrounded by them helped get me into shape where they were preparing food for me, doing stuff, so I didn't have to worry about what do I do, what do I don't eat straight away. I'm in touch with quite a few herbalist doctors as well, so I went to them, and again, research. I've done my own research and just figured out the best routine for me that I was comfortable with and went from there.
That's very, very important point, actually. It has to be comfortable, flexible. So it's not about what we are eating. It's not about perfection. It's about the right balance and being flexible with ourselves, because every day is not the same day. Especially if somebody is going through treatment, they're going to feel different every single day. And every person is not the same. So there has to be very personalized approach. And like Amanda said, she chose to go for herbal treatment. So there's a whole lot of evidence-based approaches out there. So, and I truly believe in that as well. So holistic approach can be really ideal, because if one thing might work for another person,
That's such a good point. There was a guy on Instagram actually talking about Instagram influencers and things, but he had like a bar of chocolate and an apple or something, and he put them on the table and he said, like, which one's healthier? And obviously you say the apple, but then behind the apple he said, but what if? And he put loads of unhealthy food behind the apple and he said, what if the rest of your diet is this? And it was the point that just certain foods in isolation aren't going to do any good for you or bad for you. It's your overall diet, isn't it? And it's your overall approach to nutrition and to eating.
Absolutely, yes. It's the pattern that's more important than a particular food. Absolutely.
And that again that's the kind of minefield that we have to navigate.
The routine as well, like from the time that I woke up, I had a routine of what I had when, what time, and it was consistent. I didn't break it. And I feel like if you want to make a change, you've got to have a routine of your diet, knowing what to eat, what not to eat. But also if you're having herbs or supplements, you have that routine. Get up, for instance, like I got up, I had my moringa tea, my sea moss straight away, three times a day, the sea moss, 3 times a day, moringa seeds, and then, healthy thinking, doing some stretches, combination of different herbal teas, and just constantly just ensuring that I'm starving the cancer cells. That's the way that I was just like,
but also for you though, just that feeling of being able to take control, like that was that important to you? This feeling of feeling like you were doing something to help.
Because I felt so weak. I was like I said, I was in a state of death.
Yeah.
And I felt the changes pretty quickly.
Did you have to take yourself out of certain situations? I think when, some people probably think, well, this is really bad. Let's just go for it. Let's have a great time. And you start drinking a bit and you start eating a few different things, and you have to sort of take yourself out of those situations where people might want to take you to dinner and go for drinks. And
well, I was in treatment, so I couldn't do any of that. And that the week that I found out I had cancer, I was moving. So I moved house whilst just about to start the cancer treatment.
Try to do as many
my
stressful things as you
it
could.
was. Can you imagine? I'm moving, and I like to do interior stuff, so the place was not in a good state. But what my family done is they stripped the place, decorated it, ready for me to have a room that was, what do they call it, sterile.
Yeah.
So that I didn't need to stress about that. But everything that was meant to happen didn't happen. I was able to come home after treatment and cook. I could clean. I was still move. It was the weirdest, strangest experience of having cancer.
That's the better way to have it, isn't it? Like
That is amazing.
It's not as bad as you think it is.
Yeah, I was supposed to be knocked out after the treatment that I had. But I would walk home after and carry on as normal. So
that's great though, isn't it?
Oh, my family, I have to, without them, I know it wouldn't have been as easy as it ended up being, especially moving that weekend, you know. So, and my children are absolutely amazing. When I was diagnosed, 16 weeks before I was diagnosed, my children were looking after me and my mum. They were literally looking after me. I couldn't walk, I couldn't hardly eat, I had blisters. It was just all over my mouth, and it was just the worst.
Yeah.
Was death.
Was it. Did it make you take a look at what they were eating, what you were feeding them as well?
Well, generally, I cook. So I cook food, and we don't really have takeaway. So it wasn't. I was more concerned as to how. I just felt it was environmental how I got this, because I didn't feel it came from home, and what I was eating and what I weren't eating. I just felt. I asked the question when they said I had stage 4. For one, I didn't know stage 4 was the last stage. That's how much information I knew about cancer. I did not know my family members never had cancer.
Yeah.
So when I was told I had stage 4, I was like, okay, so how many more stages before? She's like, no, this is the end. Like, this is the last day. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody reined in. It's that family connection and my friends. Oh my gosh, my friends were so pivotal in my recovery. The mindset straight away. It's just, it's more than just the nutrition and the diet.
Yeah.
It's that safety.
The wraparound
care.
Yeah,
the wraparound care around you that helps you, if it is positive, because not everyone has that experience or has that opportunity to have people that literally drop whatever they're doing to ensure that you get better. So
it's amazing to have that.
Yeah.
It's amazing to have that, and I guess supporting you in the nutrition, which I imagine wasn't always that easy to eat like that. You know, it's not easy to find all the things you want to find. It's not as easy sometimes as nipping down to Sainsbury's or Tesco. You aren't going to always find all of these really nutritious things that you need.
Yeah. For me, because the house we just moved, I was taken away into a vegan home.
Yeah.
So it was just, my meals were prepared. One of my besties, Kelly, and her sister, Tammy's house is vegan, and she just looked after me for the first 2 weeks while the house was getting done. Amazing. I mean, her partner as well. Oh my gosh. It was just an amazing experience. So when I got back home, it was like, right, I know what I'm doing. I know what to eat, vegan diet. It was just really easy for me to fall into place and carry on the treatment and feel like I was ready mentally. Yeah, I felt mentally ready to deal with it.
Let's deal with some of the myths, and Femi's already given us one. Yeah. Sugar. Mm-hmm. What's the myth busting that you were doing with Femi before that?
So we were just talking about vegan diet, to be honest. Again, we don't have any strong evidence suggesting that people need to go on vegan diet if they've been diagnosed with cancer. So again, like I mentioned, it's about the whole pattern of eating. Mm-hmm. Cancer diagnosis is already in itself very hard, and then trying to completely switch their eating style can add even more stress. And also thinking about the side effects of treatment. So like Amanda mentioned, ulcers in mouth and all sort of mouth-related problems where people are not able to swallow food, chew on food. That can add even more inconsistency or, like confusion, what to eat, what not to eat. So it's about ingesting food in itself gets so difficult. So general pattern of eating, yes, there is strong research evidence around red meat for sure, and prioritizing plant-based food for sure. We have strong evidence there. However, it also depends on the culture. So the meal has to be culturally competent. Person
When you
enjoys.
say culturally competent, what do you mean?
So, of course, we all come from different cultural backgrounds and we've been raised in eating certain style, So it's really important that persons still get to keep that style of eating, that cultural foods that they have been brought up enjoying, so something that they enjoy. So the idea should be about adapting the foods that they enjoy, so they keep up that intake of food. Because of cancer treatment, of course, it can be really harsh on people. So there can be all sort of side effects, starting from gut health to, like I mentioned, in mouth. So it's important at that moment to feed themselves more than nutrition, what they're taking in, because it's about them feeling energetic, feeling well in themselves to be able to carry on with their lives. So nutrition, of course, is important. However, it comes a little later. So main thing is to maintain that weight, consistent weight, to maintain energy and mentally feeling well. If we suddenly start to turn around things and change everything that they've been always enjoying, because it happens. Foods that they have always enjoyed doesn't feel appealing anymore because they are change of smell, change of taste. So lots of things to consider there. So personalized approach is the key here, I would say, and looking at the whole pattern rather than one food group, and positive mindset. But of course, so having that support around, wraparound care, social connections or family connections, somebody there to talk to and look after you when you don't feel that energy to cook.
That's such an important. I mean, the point around, we say every single podcast where it's not one size fits all, is so important. But I haven't really thought about this to the extent that you're just talking about it now around cultural implications. And we've got, Northeast London is super diverse. And the engagement, the discussions that we're having with patients could sometimes feel like one size fits all. And I think what you just mentioned just now is just so crucial, which is actually, it's important to try and take the research-backed ingredients or foods and apply it to culture. Now, that's what I've taken from that.
Absolutely, adapting our cultural foods. Because I tell you, we have most of research around Mediterranean diet, say for example, as the best way of eating. But not everybody comes from Mediterranean background. So that person might feel lost. What do I do? And if they've enjoyed certain foods throughout their lives, how do we then go back? So absolutely, it's taking a step back, looking into the foods they enjoy. That's how I practice, to be honest. So looking into foods they enjoy, they've always had, and then adapting around it. Because all we need to look at into high salt, sugar, and saturated fats, to be honest. So we don't need to get too deeper into that. And then we adapt those meals around so they can enjoy. Because it's not always about what we eat, but it also has to be, enjoyable, good relationship with food. Because, like I mentioned, going through cancer treatment can be really harsh on us, So at that time, if you're not able to take in any food, what point does it make going deeper into that? So
also enjoy food. Food can be a release, can't it, as well?
It's a form of self-care.
It's interesting to know. So I always have this conversation outside. Our ancestors, ate food for fuel. We now eat food for enjoyment. And we don't know because we probably don't have the technologies that we have now. But there's an argument that there was a lot less, I don't know, I'm making this blanket statement here, and I'm just going to let you run with it, that there was a lot less cancer back in those days based on the fact that they ate food as fuel, they didn't eat as much, and therefore these diseases and some of these complications that human beings have now arguably weren't there. Is there anything around, because as I guess what I'm trying to lead to is there anything that we could do with food as a preventative ingredient alongside all of these other things? So I think one of the key things is that we said it's just not one thing, there's a combination of so many different things, but today we're talking about nutrition. So is there anything from a preventative perspective 100%. That we can do? I don't know if you want to touch on that.
Absolutely. I mean, talking about cancer, there is a link with inflammation, oxidative stress. So when we look into foods that are anti-inflammatory, antioxidants, so we are talking about all the bright colored foods, fruits and vegetables, really beneficial for cancer prevention, during treatment and post-treatment as well, for general health and well-being. And then, like I mentioned before, whole grains. So there's plenty of research now highlighting health benefits of whole grains. They're packed with vitamin, minerals, fiber. Fiber is really important element. As we know, there's strong evidence suggesting fiber can help with prevention of colorectal cancer, bowel cancer. 40% of cancers may be prevented by making dietary and lifestyle changes, to be honest. So absolutely. And then, of course, keeping the balance of dairy as well, lean proteins, because like you said, food was taken as just for energy, but it's in addition to energy and repair, it's also about comfort, self-care, enjoyment, celebration. Food is everywhere, isn't it? So,
particularly in certain
yes.
cultures, food
Yeah.
is a huge part of
Yes,
celebrations, isn't
absolutely.
it?
Yes, it is.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's how to well, I was going to say how to do that in a healthy way, but maybe rather than that, it's how to accept
Yes.
that's not going to cause a massive problem if it's
Absolutely.
not a kind of a pattern.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's about adapting. And you very rightly said, it's also about slowly being aware of portion size, because portions have changed over time.
I was going to ask you about
For
portion
sure.
size, because obviously
Portions have changed.
there's a lot
Yeah.
of advice around obesity, isn't there?
Yeah.
And a lot of that comes down to portion size and food is something to be enjoyed.
Yes.
Comfort food. I love the term comfort food.
Yeah.
I love comfort food.
Yeah.
I can tell he's
Yeah.
a big foodie.
I'm a huge foodie. I'm a huge foodie, but
Yeah.
portion size is
Yes.
a big thing. A big thing for me, definitely, because I just love food. It's not that I wouldn't say gluttonous, but I really enjoy eating nice food, and I always have to watch my portion size, and I see it in my son. I was exactly the same as he was. He's 10. I was exactly the same as he was when he was 10. He just eats, and he's as thin as a rake, but he just he just eats. He has like bottomless legs or something. I don't know where he puts it, but he just eats. And I try and tell him, about portion size, not really because of cancer risk, just because of general health,
Yeah.
but it is a big thing. And I think obesity is one of those things that probably I take issue sometimes with Cancer Research UK and some of their adverts when they almost say, if you are obese, you will get cancer. It's never exactly like that, but it is almost like that. And we know that's not the case. We know that obesity probably increases your risk of cancer,
Yes.
but there's plenty of thin people have cancer and plenty of overweight people don't. And so it's not as simple, is it, as to draw those lines?
Of course, absolutely right, yes. So obesity is one of the risk factors of cancer. However, we don't have any evidence suggesting it's because of obesity that cancer is caused. So lots of things to consider. Yeah, portion sizes have changed over time for sure. Yeah. I also feel from my interaction with community and individuals, we are gone lower on courses of meal. We used to have 3-course meal, but now we are mainly 1 or 2-course meal. So in our plate, we tend not to have right balance. So maybe we have one food group, large amount, but another food group smaller, and then that's all. That's all we have on our plate. So that brings us to having a balance of all of these food groups that we've been mentioning. So fruits and vegetables, whole grains, lean protein, dairy, seeds and nuts, which is for healthy fats, mono and polyunsaturated fats. So balance really more than anything. And prioritizing rather than limiting or restricting ourselves. Because we are living in this world, hearing a lot about don't eat this, limit this, restrict this. How about if we give it a positive approach? How about if we start thinking, what do we need to bring on our plates? Colors, variety, balance of all these food groups. So I think that can, make things a little bit easier to follow.
Let's talk about the cost of living crisis, because we sort of touched on it a little bit. And we know this part of London has plenty of deprivation, but plenty of people that are, living on a really tight budget, who probably see, nutrition maybe as a want to have rather than a need to have in some cases. How do people balance that idea of eating well, helping to prevent cancer as much as possible, perhaps people with cancer as well? How do you balance that idea of eating well organically if you can, but on a budget as well? Because I imagine, Amanda, a lot of the foods that you're talking about, they're probably not cheap. So how do you balance that?
Yeah, absolutely right. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, if you really want to eat well, you can do it on a budget. I mean, vegetables, if you're looking at green vegetables, we all can't all buy organic. So, but eating green vegetables and creating your own meals from home is cheaper than actually getting the takeaways.
Yeah.
And it's likely that you might even have some for the next day if you're cooking in bulk. The cost of living is affecting everybody, but I still feel that you can, with like the pulses, the vegetables, fruit, you can create meals that can fill you and last on a budget. And I know a lot of food banks are now go-to for a lot of people now. But again, in those, you can get the vegetables, you're given vegetables, fruit, you are given all the other processed stuff as well. But it's just knowing what to do. And there's so much online now that you can do meals
knowing
for
what to do
under
is important,
£5
isn't it?
and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So I feel like if you really want to make a change, you've just got to do the research and make it happen. Because it's not going to be provided for us.
Be responsible for yourself and actually
responsible.
properly look into it. Because you're right, buying vegetables. I think often being vegetarian or vegan is quite interesting, because I love dishes that are just vegetables, beautiful vegetables, grown and cooked in the right way. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes, I hate vegan cheese. I mean, it's just it tastes like feet. It's just awful. But it costs a lot more money too, doesn't it? Than just cooking things from nice vegetables. So it's when you make these decisions, be it vegan or just eating healthily, it's educating yourself in the way you can do that and not have to spend the earth.
Absolutely right. And also be mindful of what goes in those vegan foods to balance the taste and flavor of that food. Because if they take out one element, say for example fat, which makes that food, palatable, flavorful, then of course they have to add something else. So sometimes when you're looking at labels, you notice, okay, it's higher in salt because it's lower in so and so. So that's one thing. Talking about cost of living, eating seasonal can help us stay within the budget. Seasonal fruits and veg especially, we can chop and straight away freeze. That also saves us energy, because once they're frozen, of course, the cell's been broken. So when you cook, it doesn't take long. So it can be really helpful. Talking about somebody going through cancer treatment, when they don't feel that much time or energy to cook, it can come really handy if they have seasonal variety of vegetables already frozen there. Tinned foods. When we look into Eat Well Guide, UK Eat Well Guide, we now have tinned food part of Eat Well Guide. So, beans, lentils in tins, which are soaked in water, so not in salty water, of course. So those can come really handy, talking about cost of living, using every part of food. So say, for example, vegetable, cauliflower, let's say. So using every part can be really cost effective and helpful as well. So not just using the floret, but using the stem as well. So any leftover food, if we freeze it, cooking in batches, so consuming all the foods we have rather than wasting it. So all these things can come handy. But like seasonal, frozen, tinned foods, all of these can make excellent recipes. Dried foods, so dried herbs and spices, if we can keep them handy, that can add flavor to our food and also add more plant nutrients. So these ideas can come really helpful. We do have meals to match with all sort of appetites. So small appetite or somebody who like more, but it's about using the ingredients which are not really very expensive or imported, seasonal and local.
Sorry, I was just going to add also, if you know anyone that has an allotment, that's another option that look at.
Yes.
There's a lot of time of people who have allotments. Like, for instance, I've got a friend who just this week is saying he's going to drop off some bits because they have a lot and then they share it out. What else? There was another option that I was going to say.
Farmers markets.
Yes. Farmers market. But also, if you do have a garden and start growing your own herbs, your own,
absolutely,
because it's not hard. You can buy them ready as babies and then grow your mint tea or your herbs, your thyme, your rosemary, pretty easy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Utilize the different ways of doing your own organic food as well.
Can I throw a spanner in the works, just slightly, just to throw a bit of a curveball if we've got a bit of time? So we're talking about vegetables, colours. that's the right types of things that we want on our plate. But then again, we spoke about plant food, and sometimes we've got to be careful if they take something out or put something in. But there's also a question around organic. And so some of these vegetables, they're not necessarily organic. We don't know what they are.
Yeah.
And we don't have to answer this, but do we, is there a preference? Is there a way around it? And I think we started to talk about some of the ways around it, farmers markets, with growing things from allotments. But is there any science to do with cancer related factors from organic food, for non-organic foods or anything? Or is it just myth? We don't know. It is nothing that's 100% backed.
There is definitely no evidence suggesting that we need to go organic. And like you very rightly said, it's very difficult to find out in supermarkets what's organic and what's not. There's genetically modified foods out there as well. So it can be really hard. However, there is no evidence suggesting that we have to go on organic food for sure. Yeah. Talking about cost of living, you have a very good point you have raised. Yeah, there are organizations who sell wonky vegetables and fruits, so maybe we can look into those kind of options as well, which can come cheaper if somebody's really finding difficult. Yeah, so from where I see, there are lots and lots of options out there now. Yeah, but getting too much into organic foods or non-organic without any strong evidence might not be a good idea to get there. So right now it's about seasonal, frozen, tinned, and if they can have access to lower price, farm foods, local farms, as you said. Yeah.
And research.
Yes.
Yes.
And not research that we just seen on socials.
Yeah.
Actually check what you see, because it could just be
Yeah.
Chinese whispers.
Absolutely correct. Yeah.
There's a lot of Chinese whispers.
Yeah. I mean, one good thing in this country is somebody like myself, we have an organization called Association for Nutrition. So registered nutritionist or associate nutritionist, of course, are going to share information which is scientific evidence-based. And on our social media platforms as well, we have this title saying A Nutri or R Nutri to help people to identify if they are registered. And there's a register, people can just simply put the name or postcode, finding local nutritionists or dietitians, and they can have access to credible information.
And also talking about credible information, the information on the back of food packets is a lot better
Yes.
than it used to be now, isn't it?
Yes.
And I imagine we talked about this when we did skin cancer, and there's a lot of information on the back of a sun cream bottle.
Yeah.
Which I don't imagine people know an awful lot about. But it's the same with food, isn't it? There's all
Absolutely.
the colour coding, the traffic light system
Absolutely.
now, which tells you how much sugar, how much salt, all that kind of thing that wasn't perhaps there 10, 15 years ago. And that's really important, isn't it? To
Absolutely.
educate yourself on
Yes.
as to what that means, because there's an awful lot of things that purport to be healthy, which when you look at the numbers on the back, they're not.
Exactly, absolutely correct. Yes. So we definitely encourage people to start reading labels when they have that time. Every shopping we don't have time, but when you have time, start getting familiar with your favorite foods or the foods you enjoy more, and start reading the labels. And again, we are very lucky here. We have traffic light system, so much easier. So reading ingredient list. Usually what research suggests is first 5 ingredients are the ones which are most in that food. And first one is, of course, in the higher amount. So reading ingredient list and reading the list of how much saturated fat, sugar, and salt can be really helpful as well. Calories, not as much though. We don't encourage looking into calories as much because every day is different, every person is different. But yes, nutritional content can be really
And you need
helpful.
calories, don't you? And you
Sure.
need
Absolutely.
calories. You need calories, and you
Absolutely.
need carbohydrates,
Absolutely.
and you need salt, and you need
Yes.
sugar, and you need all these things.
100%.
balance.
They're not
Yes.
evil. These things are not
Yes.
evil. It's balance, isn't it?
Yes.
Reminds me
Absolutely.
of a time I had acid reflux. I didn't know what acid reflux was. And I started to go through the list of the things I ate, and I stopped eating carbs, and I stopped eating all of these things. And I remember one day I just felt so faint. And I was just like, just give me bread.
Yeah.
Just give
Yeah.
me just bread.
Exactly.
And when I started to eat that, literally my energy levels went
Yeah.
back up.
Yeah.
But it just shows, again, you can't just stop
Yes.
something. You've got to
Exactly.
try and
Yeah, and I
just
think
try
that's
and
the
balance it.
important thing.
Yes.
That's something that I found as well. That if I deny myself things, or if I try not to eat things, when you do, break the dam, you eat and eat
Exactly.
and eat and eat and eat. You're like, give me
Exactly.
pizzas and
Yeah.
bread and
Yes.
like everything. There's
All the
no
wrong stuff.
there's no balance, is there? Then?
Absolutely correct. It's limiting
Yeah.
ourselves, restricting ourselves. This is how human brains work. The more we resist something, the more we go for it. So you feel more cravings. And skipping meals, absolutely not a good idea.
You're
at
not a
all.
fan of like the
No.
what is it? What's that diet where you fast
Keto.
for 2 days?
Keto. Is it a
You
keto
know,
diet?
I don't know.
Done any of
There's
that.
a million ones with different days.
Intermittent
But
fasting.
Intermediate.
there's certainly one, isn't there,
Yeah.
where you eat normally for 5 days and you fast for 2 or something. And
Yeah.
I
I
don't
mean,
know what it's
there are
called.
plenty of diets
Yeah.
now which are really quick fixes or
Are there any
just
good
without
ones?
No. So it's just generally, as I said, balance.
Yeah.
And overall pattern.
So none of
That's
these kind
more
of fad
important.
diets are sustainable, perhaps in the long
Not
term.
sustainable at all. No, regular eating, balanced eating, very important. Again, skipping meals is not helpful. I mean, we can skip one meal, but you might end up eating double at the next
Yeah,
meal. You know?
I'm definitely in that category.
And also, skipping meals give the message to our body that there's scarcity of food. Our body starts storing more fat, so it doesn't help. Sometimes people start skipping meal in order to lose weight, but it actually can work reversible. So yeah, balance, and regular eating. Also talking about diabetes or any health condition, regular eating is really important to help our body keep in that momentum of releasing these hormones we need.
Particularly during treatment, I think.
Yes.
And I can remember a few years ago, I've run a few London marathons, and one particular London marathon, I was in the hotel beforehand and I weighed myself. And I weighed myself after the London marathon. I'd lost half a stone, and I just hadn't been eating enough during the race. And obviously, going through chemo and cancer treatment is very different to a marathon, but it puts a massive strain on your body, doesn't it? And if you're not eating enough and eating the right things during your treatment, not only, not even looking at how well the treatment's going to work, your body's not going to cope with it, is it?
Absolutely, 100% right. I mean, weight-wise, every person is different. Some people end up gaining weight during treatment, some end up losing weight, depends on appetite and what they enjoy eating. But yes, absolutely right to keep that in mind, to give yourself flexibility and making sure you eat for energy, for feeling better in general, more than fast forwarding to what we need to eat and what not, So.
What are the big challenges that you found, Amanda, when you were going through your treatment in terms of eating? I guess maybe there's some around time, feeling quite tired, needing some quick fixes sometimes. What are the big challenges that you encountered?
I don't really feel like I encountered any challenges. I just was prepared. I just sort of made sure that everything was set. I knew, so I had a diary of what I was going to eat and what the plan was for the week, because I needed to be able to prepare myself for dealing with treatment and how I might be feeling, but also eating healthily. It was really important for me to ensure that I just knew what I was going to be eating and my routine. I had, like I said, a routine that I had.
Yeah.
And I stuck to a vegan diet. Like I said, no sugar at all. I cut out sugar completely.
Even
Except fruit sugar.
natural sugar.
Any added sugar, no white sugar.
So no rice, no carbs type.
So sugar in terms of, adding sugar. So I
like
would have
honeys
pulses.
Okay.
I wasn't on rice, no white bread, basically no white flour, no dairy. Literally alkalized the body. Yeah, it was hard work, but it was, I'm here, I'm still here.
Like you said, strong mindset.
Yeah,
isn't
it's the mindset.
That willpower.
It is the willpower.
Yeah.
Like you
That
said, it
matters
can
a
be a
lot.
shock for people
Yes.
to wake up and say, I've been a meat eater all these years, and then I'm going to be vegan overnight. But that's exactly what I did. I just done it.
I guess loads of people think. I mean, I'm probably one of them. Like, there's no way I could be vegan, but I get no chance. I love eating meat. But then I guess when you're faced with something like cancer, it probably Rachel, my first wife, when she was going through her treatment, it didn't go vegan, but there was one particular time she had to get her bloods down to a certain level to get on a trial.
Okay.
And so she went so heavy on green stuff just to try and get her blood, get all her bloods and all her counts down to a certain point to get on this trial. Actually, she couldn't do it in the end. She didn't quite get there, but it did start to go the right way. But it does focus your mind, I imagine, and you sort of forget maybe the enjoyment side of it, and you're like, I just need to live.
Mm-hmm. But also there's other, if you struggle to sort of turn your diet around completely, you can do the intermittent fasting. There's things that you can do just to give your body a
just said
break.
not to do that.
I'm just
No,
about
just,
to- I was gonna
just
go
to
back
give
that
your
as
body
well.
a break from
Yeah.
the meat, the sugar. There's people that can do it for a long time, but
Meat-free
you can do
Mondays.
2 days.
Yeah.
Some people do 100 hours.
Yeah.
But give your body a break so that it can.
But that's the balance
it can
thing, isn't it?
Your cells can
Yeah.
reform, re-stimulate, and sort of detox.
Hmm.
There's things that you can do that doesn't mean that you. Going straight back into the heavy meat eating and all of that is not a really good thing. But there's things that you can do to just give your body a break. Just there's lots
I
of
would say
different-
you have a good point. One step at a time. So slowly making swaps gradually. So not completely turning the way you have always eaten completely into any kind of certain diet. Yeah, so absolutely taking small steps like you also mentioned, Steve. So maybe twice in a week you have non-meat days. I mean, we know there's strong evidence suggesting more whole grains, plant foods have better to help with cancer. But slowly making small changes are sustainable rather than completely, switching things around.
Can I ask about fasting then? So I know
Yeah.
we touched on this in terms of regular eating, but
Yeah.
seems to be so many things on socials
Yeah.
pouring fasting to our direction as a good thing. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it what if you're eating well and then you're fasting right, if there is such a thing, does that help? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I mean, we spoke just now about giving your body a bit of a break. Tell me a little bit more about that, if there is anything on that.
I would say again, it's very personalized approach. If fasting is part of their clinical care plan, if that's how they've been advised or guided by the healthcare professional, it's different. But this fasting we're talking about is which people hear about on social media and they just want to try, give it a go. This fasting, of course, is not going to be sustainable because everybody is different. Talking about cancer treatment, that is not the time to fast for sure. That this is the time to look after your health and well-being, the nutrients your body need for energy, for mood, for repair, functioning. So this is not. But generally, we have evidence suggesting skipping meals or fasting. Of course, talking about gut-mind connection, so mind and body connection. Our body perceives scarcity of food and it just naturally starts storing more fat. So, or of course, sometimes people fast and then they end up having one big meal because they've fasted for very long. So it's perceptions as well in your mind that you haven't eaten throughout the day and now you are going to enjoy a big meal, just kind of rewarding yourself with a big meal because you've not been eaten. So there's no strong evidence suggesting fasting can help us with health and well-being, but like I said, if it's part of clinical care plan, then it's different.
Again,
Go on, Nicole.
so again, everyone's different.
Yes.
So depending on who you're around, the knowledge that you have, I would say fasting is an amazing way to help your body to conquer health ailments. Again, it's everybody's different and we all have different, I would say, cultural knowledge to help us with our health and our wealth. Again, I just wanted to add that because I just feel we can have a lot of evidence about certain things, but then culturally things have just been that way and we can put our hands up and say, no, actually fasting works. So I wanna just give a balanced sort of argument to not just be like, no, it doesn't work and it does, but it can work.
Yes.
It can work and it has worked for many years for
it's
a lot
very
of people.
Personalized, absolutely. And like
Very
you said,
personalized.
cultural, it's religious reasons as well. People fast for religious reasons. But then if it's planned in a way that people are not depriving themselves of essential nutrients and keeping that balance, with sometimes when people are fasting, when they open up their fast, they end up eating more fat-based foods, more, sugars and those. So again, it's about finding the right balance.
I have two questions because we could go on all day, but I'm wary of the time. I have two questions. Alcohol, huge nutritional value, I imagine, in alcohol. But what should you or shouldn't you drink before, during, and after cancer treatment?
So alcohol, we have strong evidence, is not a good idea, of course, when we are talking about cancer prevention, during treatment or afterwards as well. I know there's a recommendation 14 units per week. However, we don't encourage people to drink 14 units or those. So alcohol should be definitely cut down slowly, to have no alcohol, because there are no health benefits whatsoever of alcohol.
Particularly during treatment,
yes,
I imagine.
Or generally otherwise as well. But particularly
Mm.
during treatment, for sure, there are no health benefits of alcohol, and it can add on to risk of, getting things worse, for sure. And also, alcohol, as we know, can encourage people to eat more fatty foods, salty foods. So there's a
Guilty
correlation
again.
between patterns
I feel
of
like we
eating.
need to chat, me too.
Last weekend, it was like,
We need to chat. I'm asking you my own questions, really. This is just me. This is just you and I talking. My last question was we've talked a lot about before a diagnosis, during treatment. What about afterwards? You've gone full vegan. You might have you made a lot of changes. It might be difficult to continue with that when you don't have perhaps as much motivation. What's the advice afterwards?
So again, gradually coming back to your normal routine of having, again, balanced, healthy, nutritious foods, because then you're going to start to feel your energy levels coming back, so you can do things that you value, social connections, going out and about, so coming back slowly to normal routine. So after treatment, slowly, gradually making your way back.
Have you maintained all the same things that you did when you were still in very active treatment?
So during treatment, I was fully vegan.
Yeah.
After treatment, I was vegetarian.
Right,
I was not a heavy meat eater before I had cancer, but vegan all the way through, and then I went into the vegetarian, which I still am, and I kept up particular herbs that I know that I could just continue every day, daily. And what else did I do? Yeah, and I've kept up not using the microwave. I've warmed my food on the pan. Like, I don't use the microwave at all, because I know that is a very big factor towards cancer. And just generally, but I'm not, that you can be very hard on yourself. If I fancy some chicken, I have some chicken. If I fancy,
that's important.
That's where for instance, all my children still eat meat. Yeah. So if they cook a meal and I've come in late at 10 o'clock and I want to eat something, and there just happens to be some chicken, I might have a nibble. But again, it's about balance, and I'm not one of them that'll be like, oh, you're in treatment, and oh my gosh, you're eating red meat, and make people feel bad about the choices that they feel are right for themselves.
I
feel it's really important for people to make choices for themselves. Have the information there. I didn't touch upon about alcohol. Alcohol was just a no-no during treatment. Sugar, alcohol. I wouldn't even consider having alcohol during treatment. But just don't be too hard on yourself.
Yep, absolutely.
Have that balance. But also, straight after I'd finished chemo, was it after I finished chemo? I started detoxing, making sure all the things to replenish cells. Have your vitamin K, I was on B12. I was doing some fasting as well in between. But my focus was, how can I now rebuild my cells and get myself back? And I did everything and anything that I needed to do to ensure that I get back to where I am today.
That's a good point to finish on, Nita, isn't it? Probably, because all this amazing advice we've been given, I don't want people thinking, if they're going through treatment, I can't have a takeaway, every so often. I can't, enjoy food every so often that's maybe not as healthy. It is that balance, and we don't want to kind of shame people into the point where if their treatment didn't go the way that they wanted it to, they're going to blame themselves, because I think that's such an awful thing. If you get into this is what the sort of mindset that Rachel got into. She, in the end, she felt like she'd caused it herself, because in her youth she smoked a bit, she drank a bit more, and enjoyed the kind of lifestyle, and she goes like, she said quite a few occasions, that's what's caused my cancer. I know it is. And obviously we can never say that. You can never be as clear as that. And I don't want people feeling like it's, you know, if it doesn't work out the way they want, it's because they didn't eat properly.
Can I add one really important thing? I'm a non-smoker. I hardly drink. I still got cancer.
Yeah, exactly.
But one of the biggest things that I can say contribute to cancer is stress.
Yes, definitely.
And I was going through a 19-year relationship breakup just before I got the cancer. There was so much going on, and I really feel that contributed to the cancer. Because they say there's cancer in us, and it can be triggered by different things. And I just feel like that.
Yeah.
So I'm not a drinker, I'm not a smoker.
There's so many factors, aren't there?
So
and it's about giving yourself the best chance, isn't it? I think that's
exactly.
what we're
to blame
about.
yourself because you do drink. There's smokers that smoke like chimneys and never get anything.
No, exactly, yeah.
Do you know? So
I mean, like we were saying before, it's not just nutrition, it's sleep, stress,
it's
emotional well-being.
But stress is so
it's
big
it's,
one.
Yes, absolutely.
Where should we point
So
people
flexibility is very, very important, like you said, Steve. Absolutely.
Where should we point people to, just to finish, as good resources? The North East London Cancer Alliance website, I imagine, has got plenty of resources.
Yep. World Cancer Research Fund has amazing resources, really good recipes as well. And I mean, registered nutritionists, dietitians, they're there to support as well. And we have Macmillan Cancer Charity, really good resources there. Breast Cancer Now Charity has really good resources. And they are in North East London, talking about North East London, they are based in Royal London Hospital, Queen's Hospital, and then there's Maggie's Centre as well in Barts Health. They're out there. And talking about food, there's Food on Wheels option out there. There are organizations offering remote cookery classes as well. So Bags of Life offer remote cookery classes for anybody who would like to learn quick, simple recipes. So there's so much support out there for sure. Yeah.
Femi, we've talked a few times, haven't we? Just to wrap up, we've talked a few times on various podcast episodes, and we've said we need to do nutrition. I feel like we've only probably scratched the surface a little bit with it here, but it's been a quite enlightening hour and 3 minutes, hasn't it?
It has, and thank you, Amanda and Nitu. I think it also points us in another direction as well. I think we definitely need to do something around stress.
Yes.
And sleep, and invite the experts there and that as well. I think we can only just scratch the surface with the time frame that we've got, but it just shows that we probably need to do more on nutrition and probably focus on other areas as well, because I think this is such an interesting conversation. And to also have a patient, to have a specialist, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, fab. Thank you so much, Nitu. Thanks, Amanda, and thank you to Femi.
Thank you all.